FIFA is applying for tens of millions of dollars in compensation from a group of its ex-officials. World Football's governing body says its reputation and business interests have been damaged by being implicated in sport's biggest corruption scandal.
It is a very good vehicle.
It's alleged millions of dollars were channeled illegally from the grassroots game due to bribery, kickbacks and corruption.
2010 FIFA World Cup.
FIFA wants salaries repaid and has also demanded damages.
In South Africa.
A total of 43 officials, executives and corporate entities have been charged under US bribery and money laundering legislation. The defendants include former members of the FIFA Executive Committee, as well as former heads of national and continental governing bodies. FIFA has been in turmoil since May 2015, when a US investigation exposed widespread corruption at the top of world football. The future of the organisation itself has been called into question by the scandal. Some are demanding it be disbanded and a replacement organisation set up. The application for financial compensation casts FIFA for the first time under its new president, Gianni Infantino, as both plaintiff and victim.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel says the closing of the migrant route through the Balkans has created a challenging situation for Greece, which should concern all of Europe. Addressing the Bundestag ahead of an EU summit with Turkey on Thursday, Merkel warned that nobody should be deceived by the slower influx of migrants to Germany because of border closures. Merkel said that Turkey has already asked for accelerated talks on visa-free travel to the EU for its citizens, and that an open dialogue with Turkey would be a good opportunity to talk about other issues such as Turkish freedom of the press and the Kurdish population in the east of the country. She said an EU-Turkey deal would be followed by an agreement by EU states to accept quotas of refugees. Belgium's federal prosecutor told reporters that an Islamic State flag was found next to the body of a suspect shot dead during an anti-terror operation on Tuesday. The suspect was described as an illegal Algerian immigrant who is known to police for a previous theft offence. Also found next to his body was what the prosecutor said was a Salafist manual. That's the ideology to which Islamic State or ISIL subscribes. Police were fired on as they carried out a routine search in the Forêt area of Brussels. 4 officers were wounded in the shootout. The joint Belgian-French operation in Brussels is linked to November's Paris attacks and is ongoing. 2 suspects are still being hunted by police.
With 4 state wins under her belt and a virtual tie on a 5th, supporters of Hillary Clinton think the Democratic nomination is in view. Her successes in Florida, Ohio, Illinois and North Carolina, plus so-called superdelegates, make it unlikely rival Bernie Sanders can catch up.
Our next president has to be ready to face 3 big tests. First, can you make positive differences in people's lives? Second, can you keep us safe? Third, can you bring our country together again?
The outcome of these latest primaries have left a feel-good atmosphere in the Clinton camp.
I think the general public likes her. I think she's got a strong case, supports a lot of things, issues that we talk about, care about.
I remember seeing Hillary Clinton as First Lady when I was 14 years old. And to be able now to come and vote for her, she's the first woman who showed me that I didn't have to be someone's wife to be in politics. I could be in politics.
Our correspondent in Florida says,
it was Hillary Clinton's biggest night so far of the whole primary season. In her victory speech, she signaled that Bernie Sanders is no longer a threat. She can now set her sights on whoever ends up being the Republican nominee. Stefan Grobe, Euronews, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Republican Donald Trump scored a big win in the Florida primary as projections gave him at least 3 of the 5 states in the second Super Tuesday presidential nomination vote. Clinching Florida gives him all 99 delegates in the state's winner-takes-all system and consolidates his lead.
We have to bring our party together. We have something happening that actually makes the Republican Party probably the biggest political story anywhere in the world. Everybody's writing about it all over Europe, All over the world, they're talking about it. Millions of people are coming in to vote.
The main casualty on the night was Senator Marco Rubio, whose poor showing in his home state of Florida has forced him to quit.
The politics of resentment against other people will not just leave us a fractured party, they're going to leave us a fractured nation. They're going to leave us as a nation where people literally hate each other because they have different political opinions. That we find ourselves at this point is not surprising, for the warning signs have been here for close to a decade.
Rubio's departure leaves Trump, Ted Cruz and John Kasich, who took Ohio. It means establishment party figures might now favour Kasich, since most oppose Trump or Cruz being the nominee.
Our correspondent Stefan Grober is in Palm Beach. Stefan, a good night again for Donald Trump, but defeat in Ohio still leaves the door open for a surprise.
Well, absolutely, Chris. I think what the Republicans have learned on the second Super Tuesday is they cannot stop Donald Trump. They can only slow him down. You're right. Donald Trump lost Ohio, and that was a big prize for the anti-Trump forces. But then, of course, they are still not strong enough to prevent Donald Trump from getting the Republican nomination. What everybody is thinking here is that we are drifting toward a brokered convention, which means that Donald Trump will have the plurality of the delegates before the convention in Cleveland, Ohio, but not the majority. So that leaves us with a whole variety of possibilities, even of a possibility of a candidate who is not yet known. Today, the name of Paul Ryan was floated, the Speaker of the House of Representatives. For the first time, he did not particularly exclude the possibility of his running against Trump, but these are pure speculations. My guess is that Donald Trump will eventually be the Republican nominee.
It's a little more straightforward for the Democrats and Hillary Clinton.
Well, it is. She obviously ran the table on this Super Tuesday. There are virtually no more chances left for Bernie Sanders of snatching the nomination away from her, although he issued a press release tonight saying that he will keep fighting on and take the fight to the convention in Philadelphia. But to be honest, Bernie Sanders is running out of time, and he's running out of states. There are only very, very few big states left where he could score big, but these are states like New York, like Philadelphia, like Pennsylvania, or like California. But in those states, Hillary Clinton is in the lead. But because of the fact that Bernie Sanders is still hanging in, that makes him the best friend of the Republican Party right now, because it drains away resources that could be used in a general election campaign, probably against Donald Trump.
Stefan, thank you for your insight.
Security cameras capture a deadly bomb blast on board a bus in northwestern Pakistan. At least 16 people have been killed in the explosion, mostly government employees being driven to work. The blast happened in the volatile Peshawar district, where government troops have stepped up raids on the Taliban and other militant groups. As well as those killed, more than 40 have been injured, and doctors say the death toll is likely to rise. Police say 10 kilos of explosives had been planted on the bus. This is the region where 134 children were killed in a massacre at an army-run school in December 2014. He was forced to very publicly plea for forgiveness and say he committed a very severe crime. But in the end, no leniency has been shown to a US student arrested in North Korea. A sentence of 15 years in prison with hard labor has been handed down to Otto Warmbier, accused of trying to steal a banner bearing a propaganda slogan from a hotel during a visit.
Allow yourselves to be allured.
In the past, North Korea has been accused of using long jail terms imposed on foreigners as a bargaining tool to try to get around international sanctions and the consequences of its growing isolation. Warmbier went to North Korea for an organised New Year's group tour.